don't seem to have anybody on Instagram.
Have you definitely pressed
we
the
have.
button? Oh, you have. Oh yes, no, we haven't got anyone reading the questions out today, apart from you, Christopher. Okay, no pressure. And the thing is, we've had to put the camera up really high so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. Even higher than Chris, who's 6'4". Yeah, so before I had Rosie reading out the questions. We don't seem to have got that today. Rosie, if you're watching, can you come down and read out the questions? Anyway, welcome to Weaving with Wooltops from my kitchen. Hope you're all well, hope you're all surviving the weirdness, which we shall not refer to, because there's quite enough of that being referred to everywhere you go. So let's not refer to any of that weirdness. Let's have a little bit of normality here and do a spot of Weaving with Wooltops. So Weaving with Wooltops, oh, we've already got a question. Sorry, everyone. Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to check that people could see things on Instagram.
Can you see us on Instagram? Wave hello and say yes if you can.
I've got 2 people who've waved.
Well, that's probably a good sign.
And we're live.
Yeah. Should I come round and just check?
You might do.
Bear with, everyone. Bear with. Won't be a second. I can't actually see it. What? Does it say live? Does it say you are live? Yes, that's fine. Right, okay.
All right. Insta's not working for Kerry.
Insta's not working for Kerry?
No.
Oh, really? Should we stop it and start again? But you've got some other people on there.
Well, there seems to be a few people. 2 people.
Only 2 people?
Just have a blank screen. How do I see you? Right,
Oh.
I'm going to stop it and start it.
Okay.
Again.
Bear with us, everybody, on Facebook. We're just having a bit of an Instagram moment. And we're going to stop it and start it again on Instagram. In the meanwhile, I could do a little dance. I could sing.
So, camera, go to...
You just
live.
press the button that says live.
Yeah, but you have to go to live first.
I do, yes.
Yes. There is no button that just says live.
I
You
bought
have to go
some
to live.
Bloody Mary mix yesterday and some vodka. So I'm looking forward to that a bit later. It's just there. It's not far away. I won't crack it open right now. It seems a little bit early for that. Okay, is everyone live on Insta now?
I think we are.
Yeah, we got more people coming?
Yeah,
yes?
they're all coming in.
Okay, all coming in. So sorry about that, people on Instagram. We had a little bit of technical fault there. You missed Betty Boo having a treat and me talking about nonsense. But apart from that, you haven't missed anything at all, so don't worry. So I haven't even started weaving. People on Facebook are probably getting a bit bored. Right, okay, let's get to it. So, weaving with Wooltops is one of the things that I cover in my book, Easy Stuff to Make with Fluff. Okay, so I'm going to show you some of the projects. There's a step-by-step in here of how to do it all, but there's also some of the projects that are in here that I've actually got here in my kitchen. So I thought I'd start off by quickly showing you those, because it's other ideas for how you can weave things apart from just on a loom. Okay, so one of the ones I wanted to show you is my woven stool that's in the book. So this was started with a warp going one way with the Wooltops and then a weft going the other way with the Wooltops. Really, really quick, easy project. Obviously, if you've got to have a little stool lying around, or you've got to get your hands on one. The next thing I was going to show you was my lampshade that's in the book. Okay, so we sell these lampshades. I think we've got a few at the moment, like this. Okay, and what I did with this, I'll bring it back, was I warped up the lampshade, and if you don't know what I mean by warp and weft, all will become apparent just in a few minutes. But what I did was I warped up the lampshade about every 4 centimetres, and then I wove in and out of that with Wooltops to make the lampshade. And then I just finished it off at the top with a bit of trimming and pom-pom trim and stuff. So that's that. Then the next thing I want to show you are these. So these are great for kids, or if you don't have a loom. Okay, so I said the other day that I'd just briefly describe how to make a loom if you don't have one already. The first thing you can do is get an old picture frame and then literally nail in some nails at the top and at the bottom. Go to that shed again. That garden shed is full of goodness. You can find all sorts of useful things in the garden shed to craft with. Husband giving me dirty looks again. Yeah, so just nail the nails at the top and at the bottom, and then you're ready to go, and you've got yourself a little loom, okay? So that's easy. Or if you're doing it with kids, this is brilliant. So this is one of the projects in my book. These are just paper plates, and on the back I've drawn and marked out an uneven number of segments, cut them into segments like little flower petals, and then warped it up that way, and then woven round and round and round. So that's a great one to do with kids. The only key thing with this is you've got to make sure you've got an uneven number of segments, otherwise it doesn't work. So there's a few of those you can see here. This one I've used Wooltops and yarn as well. Obviously you can weave with yarn, we all know that. I'm kind of talking to you about Wooltops as well today, but obviously you can include your yarns that you've got and make it look really pretty, and weave all sorts of ribbons and trimmings and whatever else you've got lying around. So that's great to do with kids, especially if you've got some paper plates. And obviously I have got the most groovy paper plates in the world, but you could do it with white ones and get them to paint them first as well, just another thing. And then lastly, I just want to show you one more project from that part of my book, and that's weaving plastic baskets. Yeah, so we sell these plastic baskets, like these little retro plastic baskets, which are so cute. And as you can see, I've just had a bit of fun with some Wooltops weaving in and out of the holes. Literally, that's all there is to it. But again, that is another project in my book, and it does show you in the book as well how to spin yarn from Wooltops as well, using a drop spindle and using that as well. So that will give you something that's not quite so fluffy. Okay, so moving on to actually what we're going to be doing today, which is weaving on a loom. Okay, this is the loom that we sell. We're currently out of stock, but I've got more coming next week. Sorry. We've got a smaller version of this as well. This is the big one, and the smaller one is probably about yay big. And I have warped this up with a special warp thread that we also sell, and it's I think it's like a medium warp thread, 12/9 or something like that. But essentially it's a bit like string, and essentially what you want is something that's very, very will become very taut and is very, very strong and won't snap and won't break, so that you can pull it really, really tightly, because it's much, much easier to weave when you've got very, very, very tight warp. So going on about these weird words that I'm using, warp and weft are the key ones you need to know about. Okay, so your warp are these verticals here that you're going to weave in and out of, and then that's called the weft that goes across the warp. Okay, so if you ever hear those weird words, that's what they mean. The other weird words you might hear, if you buy this set, it also comes with a shuttle, okay, or so a shuttle is basically something that you wind your yarn around and you weave in and out with, and it kind of pulls your yarn along behind it. I'm not going to use that today. And also a heddle. A heddle is something that you put that raises every other warp thread in the air so that you can get the shuttle through much more quickly. So if you are weaving with yarn, that all makes it a lot faster, okay? If you're doing what we're doing today, it's slightly different, so I haven't got those here. The set also comes with a comb, which I also don't have here because it's got lost along the wayside somewhere, but you can also use a fork for that. It's just pushing the threads down. Okay. So that's a little bit about the loom. This is just a very, very simple tabletop loom. If you really want to get into the world of weaving, it gets a lot more complex with great big looms that make much more complicated things. So this is a really simplified version of it. We do also have a little kit called Believe in the Weave that we sell, and that comes with our really mini loom. Okay, so that's got this in it. which has just got removable plastic ends but allows you to warp it up, and then that comes with enough wool to make a little thing like this. So that's great for kids as well. But yeah, that's basically what I'm working with today is our large weaving loom set. Okay, so I have gone ahead and already warped this up because I thought it would be extremely dull for you to watch me doing that. And I've used this warp thread that I was just using. All you do is you just tie it off on one of the little notches. So you've got little notches here at this end and here at this end, and it allows the warp thread to then travel freely round, and you just start off by hooking it off, and then you literally go round the notches and go back and forth and back and forth. And the only thing you need to know here is that you need to keep it really tight, okay? So don't let it go all floppy. Much harder to weave in and out of stuff. Stop trying to make me laugh.
I'm not trying to.
You are trying to make me laugh.
I was going to ask a question.
Oh, go on then. Are you watching?
Hey Jill, have you got any circular weaving kits?
Yes, there is a circular one as well that's not dissimilar to this kind of scenario. Again, we've sold out, but I've got more coming next week. And that's just, basically, you'll see it on our website, it's like a round wooden sort of frame that you weave and you can do rounds in. So, so yes, I've warped this up, but it's nice and tight. Can you see? It's almost like a guitar. It's actually making a sound because it's so tight. He's shaking his head at me now. All right, so let's get to it. Here's the one I made the other day in the garden when it was extremely hot and sunny, and now it's not. I've taken it off, obviously, and I've tied it off at the top and at the bottom. And I'll talk to you more about how to finish stuff off at the end. I've just got it propped up on a lemon, sorry, so that you can see it. Why is there a lemon? Is that important? Is the acidity of the lemon important? All right, so we're using Wooltops. I've got length about so long, it's about 1 foot long, but you know, just tear it up and pull it apart into the lengths you need. And I tend to use a pencil width, is what I call it. So about the width of the pencil, okay? I'm going to start off by showing you how to do these fantabulous knots that are so in and trendy and allow you to do fringing and so on, okay? Here's the little one from my book that you may have seen. That's got a little heart in the middle and it's got these knots at the bottom. And these hearts, like I've made here in the Mexican fire heart, are made using the knots, okay? So this is an important thing that you need to learn. All right, so I've pulled some bits off, pencil width, okay? And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to straddle the middle two with my Wooltops, and then I'm going to bring it up in the middle. I'm going to take my glasses off because I can't see what I'm doing now. I'm going to bring it up in the middle like that, and I'm going to pull it tight, and then you've created your little knot and your tail end here. If you're doing this with yarn, you'd cut your yarn first you'd have like about 6 or 8 of them maybe into the same length, and you'd just do it with the yarn. So what I'm doing, I'll show you again. You're going around 2 of the warp threads, and then you're bringing each end up through the middle of those 2. Okay, like that, and then pulling it tight. So that is how you start off at the very bottom to create this fringe along the bottom. So can you see okay if I don't hold it up against my chest? Because that's
not terribly well.
Not terribly well. All right, well let me just do a couple of those.
Meanwhile,
and then I'll hold it up like
Lorraine
this.
Howman.
Yes, hi Lorraine.
Do you or
yes.
could you offer a weaving starter pack of yarns, warp thread? Wouldn't be too sure what wools.
Well, we don't have a pack as such, but it's all under weaving on our website. So you just go along to spin and weave at the top. And if you click on weaving, there's not a huge amount in there, but basically what you need is in there. So that the loom is in there, and the weaving, the warp thread is in there. And then there are some weaving needles in there as well. If you're going to use yarns, the weaving needles are fabulous, because you just put the yarn through the very big-eyed weaving needle and you just go in and out with it, and it's really fast. So those are great too. But in terms of adding, everyone likes different colours and wants different stuff to actually weave with. But we do sell a bundle pack of 9 of our 25-gram packs of Wooltops, which give you all the colours of the rainbow. So that would be a great thing to buy with the weaving set when I get them back in stock, or the little one's still in stock actually. Does that answer your question? Hopefully. If it doesn't,
a little bit
ask me
tighter
again.
on you, by the way.
You've come a bit tighter, okay. So I'm just going to carry on doing these little knots along the bottom, just so I can make a little row of them. Let me just go super fast now. Just so I can make a little row of them along the bottom, and it kind of, it just gives you a nice finish when you take it off the loom and you tie it all up at the back. It gives you a nice thing at the bottom. And then you can trim it with some scissors to make it nice and neat and tidy, because as you can see, mine isn't. Oh, the other thing I've forgotten to tell you is, obviously I've only warped mine up in the middle. Obviously it goes from here to here, so you could do a much bigger one than I'm doing. I've just warped it up with just a few of these, just for speed really, because I thought you wouldn't want to watch me do something huge. So you don't need to make it very wide. And likewise, sorry, I know there's another question, but likewise, you don't need to make it very high. You don't need to go all the way to the top when you're weaving something. So you could just do a little square down here at the bottom.
Jill Paris-Hilton doesn't understand the knot.
Right, okay, let me go through it again. Let me use a bigger bit. And I'm going to do it right in the middle, and I'm going to hold it up. Okay, so the 2 threads in the middle. Well, okay, let's do it at the side. Let's take these 2 threads, so this one and this one. So we're taking the Wooltops, we're going over those 2, okay, and then I'm bringing I'm bringing both of the ends back up through the middle of the 2, okay, and then I'm just pulling it tight, and there's your little knot. There's your little tassely knot. There's probably a technical term in the weaving world, and they're all just like rolling their eyes. Well, they're probably not watching actually. the proper weavers amongst us, like Hilary Charlesworth, who teaches our proper tapestry weaving course at the shop. She has all the technical terms. But yeah, hopefully I'll do it once more so that you can see again. So taking the Wooltops.
Tight shot for them.
Okay.
Do
We're zooming in. Are we zooming in?
Yeah.
Can you zoom in on live? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're taking the Wooltops, we're going to straddle the 2 warp threads over the top of them, and then we're simply bringing each end of the Wooltops back up through the middle of those 2, and then pulling it tight. Okay? And that's like literally the hardest thing I'm going to show you today. All right? The rest of it's all much more straightforward than that. Everyone got that? Okay. So that is key. So just master that. It's super easy once you get the hang of it. This looks like a bit beardy here, so I'm just going to take my scissors to it and do a very satisfying chop there. A bit like I cut my fringe yesterday with my sewing scissors in the studio, much to everyone's horror. It looks fine though, I think. Right, so that's the fringe at the bottom there, okay, of my tassels. It's so easy once you get the hang of it. It just looks a bit complicated to start with. So this, excitingly, is how we're going to do the heart as well, the fire heart. So what we do with this is we do 1 knot here with these 2 in the middle, and then we're going to straddle these 2, and then these 2, and then these 2, making and moving out and up. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by actually doing it. So I'm going to try and hold it up to make it easier for you to see. Now I'm doing it upside down, which isn't at all tricky. Okay, so I'm going over there, and then I'm going to go over there. All right, so there's my first one, all right? Let's pull that nice and tight. So when I did the fire heart, I did leave a little gap, obviously here where I've got some other weaving going on, so we'll come to that in a minute. And I'm just going to carry on using pink and red for now, but obviously you can use whichever colours you like. What I actually did here with this is I started with dark reds on this side, and I went over to slightly more orangey pinky colours on this side with my knots. So each time I did a knot, I decided, oh sorry, I'm so sorry. Sorry. When I did this heart here, I started with the dark colours over here, and I went over to the orangey pink ones here, okay, and gave it just decided each time I did a knot what colour I was going to use. Okay, so I'm just going to, let's choose a slightly more pinky colour for the next one. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two and these two. So that one's in the middle there. The next one I'm going to go with these two. It's quite tricky doing this upside down, so just bear with me. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to pull that one down there, and then I'm going to do the next one. Let's just get a little bit more Wooltops. So the next one I'm going to do with these two. So that one and that one for these two here. Can everyone see okay? Are you missing any questions, Christopher? Okay. And then I'm going to, let's go back to the red again. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these two, then the original middle ones, and then these. So I'm going to do 3 going across. So first 1, then 2, then 3. Okay, so I'm going to straddle those 2 and bring both of the tails up in the middle of the 2 strings, the middle of the 2 warp threads. Okay, and obviously this is very taily at the moment. We've got a lot of Wooltops here, but don't worry about that, because that will all get trimmed at the end, and that's what makes it look so cool. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, what am I doing now? I've done that one wrong, sorry. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the middle one first, like that, so a bit like I did with the first one. Then I'm going to do these 2 here, like that. Okay, and then the final one of the 3, let's just do it in this pinky colour, which has just come to hand, is going to be these 2 here. So this is kind of the side of the heart coming outwards. Okay, so if you can kind of see what's going on now, if I hold this in the air, so you can see you've got like a sort of pointed shape. So you've got 1 knot, then 2 knots, then 3 knots. Okay, then we're going to do 4. So we're going to do 1, 2, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. Does everyone want me to actually do this? Are people actually doing it with me? I'm interested to know.
Don't know. But Celia Thompson,
yes,
the plates have an odd number of warp threads.
The plates, yes.
Does the loom have even number of warp threads?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, mine does today. It doesn't really matter so much when you've just got a normal loom like this. It's because you're going around in a circle with the plates. That's why that's important, because you'd get back to the beginning, and if you've got an even number, when you're going under over, you'd be doing the same under overs, and it wouldn't be odd each time, so you wouldn't get a weaving pattern. It would just be the same going round, if that makes sense. But when you're using a loom, it doesn't matter, because you're just going backwards and forwards.
Some people are working with you.
Oh, fabulous. All right, so we're doing 4 across here. So let's make this the widest part of the heart. Okay, I think that is what I did from memory. So there's a plan for this in my book. It actually outlines how you do it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 and 2 to make the top of the heart, so that you'll get the little dip. What you want here is you want a little dip. Whoops. Here, okay. So when you've got to the widest part, then we're going to go 2 and 2, and then we're going to go 1 and 1 at the top. All right. So I'm just going to carry on with this colour. It's not going to look quite the same as the one I did the other day, but let's go with it. So 2 and 2, we're going to do, oh no, I've done that. 4 across. Right, okay, so now I'm going to just do, let's just do 1 like this. On top. Okay. Oops. Fail. Do that one again. Sorry, it's because I'm doing it upside down. I can't actually see what I'm doing. There we go. There. and then I'm going to go here. And then what I did was I filled in that middle bit in the middle with green. Okay, here. And then I did some knots of yellow going across here, okay? So I'm not going to do all of that now, I'm just trying to explain to you. Can you see how I hold if I hold all of this up now, how you're getting this heart shape? So you've got a dip in the middle, and then it's going around like that. So you can have a little bit of an experiment with that. And if you don't like what you've done, let me just trim it a little bit actually, because you'll be able to see it better. So I would do this right at the end, but I'm just going to trim it now so that you can kind of see what's going on. Okay, can everyone see that okay? Yeah? So that's kind of the heart shape bit. And like I say, then what I would do is I'd get your other colours that you're using. Let's just show you, just as an example. And do your yellow coming out of the top for your heart, for your fire. I'm doing it back to front again. Sorry. So used to doing it the other way around.
How many rows did you do for the heart?
There we go. So I've done 1 knot. Okay. Then I've done 2 knots. Then I did 4 knots, and then I've done 2 knots at the top. It depends how big you wanted it. Okay? But have a bit of an experiment. Draw it out on a piece of paper. Let me show you the one in the book here. So the green, this little diagram here, the green are the warp threads. No, shall I hold it up closer? Shall I come closer?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Down.
Down. There?
That way a little bit. Stop.
Okay, can you all see that? So the green are the warp threads, okay, and then where the crosses are where I've done each knot for the heart to make a heart shape, okay. So that is the one that I did in my book, which is this one, which is quite diddy, okay. The fire heart that I did the other day was a bit bigger, so I think I expanded it out. So I did 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then I think I did 5, might have done 5, then 2, then 2, then 1, then 1. So it's just a case of experimenting with what you want to do. But if you want to make the fire heart exactly the same as the other that I did the other day, I will put it underneath in the notes, okay, what I did. I think I just need to go back and have a look at exactly how many across I went. So that's knots, okay, and how you do knots. I'm just going to trim this one a little bit. I'm trimming it now so that you can kind of see around it, because I want to explain how to do the rest. Normally what I do though is I would trim it at the ends, because I think you can decide how long you want the pile to be if you do it at the end, okay? So the next thing I did was the black and white, okay, across here. Now you can pick any 2 colours you like, okay, but basically you're just going to do alternate rows of black and white, and this is just regular weaving. All right, I haven't actually got any black and white right here. Let me just go with 2 different colours just to show you now with the regular weaving. So I'm not going to stand and do the whole weaving here today in front of you, because that would take forever and be way too long. So I'm just going to show you how I just weave in and out with the Wooltops. So again, a pencil length, okay. Now normally when you're weaving with yarns, you would have a very long length of yarn that you would wind round the shuttle and go in and out, in and out, in and out. It's not quite so easy when you're doing it with Wooltops to get that very long length. So I tend to use shorter lengths, but I like to try and get at least 2 rows out of it if I can, because it makes it a lot easier if you can do that. So try and get as long a length of Wooltops as you can, and then you are literally going to start going in and out between the warp threads, okay. Now you can make the Wooltops, I'm going to have to put this down, sorry, I can't do it with it standing up. Let me just go in and out, and then I can explain to you what it is I have done. There we go. Right, so I've literally gone under, over, under, over, under, over with all of the in between the threads, these warp threads, okay. Now, you can use fatter Wooltops if you want to. I've stuck with the pencil width the whole time I was doing that one the other day. Just use pencil width Wooltops, okay. If you want to, you could maybe use much fatter pieces. and that will give you a very, very different look. Okay, so this kind of thing. And then what you can do, and what you've probably seen around a lot, is pull bits of them right out and bunch them up. Okay, now this makes your weaving grow way, way faster than it would if you were using yarns, so it's good in my book. And you can build it up a lot faster doing that. So I'm just going to take that one out for a minute. So going back to the pencil width here, what you would then do, and what I did, is I used the fork, well the comb, should be a comb, to just push that down, okay? And then if you're going to do another colour, it's called pick and pick, I think, officially, in proper weaving land, this technique. So you would then get another colour. I'm just going to elongate that out a little bit as well. And then, very important, this kind of basic, you probably already know this, but then you're going to do it in the opposite way. Okay, so I've gone under the first warp thread here. Now I'm going to go over with this pink one. Just get my glasses out of the way. Okay, so I'm going to go over and under, over, under, and so on. If I can just put this down just a second to actually do it, and then I'll show you again. Okay, so there's my next line of weaving. Okay, so this is simple stuff, and I'm just going to pull it so that I've got plenty of length on it, the other end that I need in a minute. And then I'm just going to push that down like that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my first colour round, and I'm going to do the same thing as I did on my first row. So the first colour, actually I'm going to go over the top of this one. The first colour is going to go under, and can you see how it forms that at the side? So under, over, under. Let me just put it down again, I'll quickly do it. Far more efficiently than if I'm holding it in the air and doing it upside down, which is a little bit testing. Okay, so like that, okay, and again let's just push that down so you can see the full effect. So when you're pushing it down, especially with Wooltops, it's going to hide your warp threads. You shouldn't really see them by the time you've finished. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the pink one round, okay, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing with that. So that started off over, then under, and you'll soon realise if you make a mistake and you accidentally do it the same as the line before, and you'll suddenly see that you've lost the weaving pattern, and now all your sort of stitches, as it were, started to look the same. There we go. So I'm just going to pull that now, tight that end, and then I'm just going to use the fork and push that down like that. And you can see how it's all starting to take shape. And then I might actually just have enough to come back the other way and go and do get another row out of it. So yeah, so this technique's called pick and pick, and it gives you this kind of checkerboard effect, which I really like, especially with the black and white. Sorry, I failed to bring any black and white home with me from the shop, hence I'm using pink and blue. Okay, so there's that line there, and pushing that one down, and finally if I just go with this one at the end, let me just put it down and do it a little bit faster. Do I have any more questions, Chris?
Tinks is asking, what do you do with the ends?
Well, that's a very good question, and I'm going to come to that. That will be answered shortly, because that is a very good question. What do you do with the ends? All right, so yeah, I've got quite a lot of ends sticking out either side, you know, and that's just me being me. I don't worry about things like that. I think, oh, I'll sort that out at the end, and I will, and I do. So you can see how that's taking shape now. But yeah, I just wanted to show you with a different colour again, and you can make this up. You don't have to do what I've done. But yeah, if you get plenty of it now, and always remembering to go in the opposite way. So now that one went over the top, so now I know I need to go under, and then I'm just going to quickly do a line here to show you how to achieve a slightly different effect. like so, and that's just like I showed you before, just like pulling out great big chunky bits of it like that. Just adds textural interest and makes it grow a bit faster. Now the next thing you're probably going to ask me is, well, how does it work when you get to the heart that you've made, because obviously that's now in the way of your weaving. So you would work up to this, and I'll explain. And obviously what I did, let me just go back to the one that I did. What I did was I've gone from the black and white through blues at the bottom, and then I've gone up through greens, sort of getting slightly more yellowy greens at the top, and then I've done the black and white again, and then I've done a couple of rows of sort of pinky red colours just tie in with the bottom. So what you're going to do if you're following that and you're doing similar colours is you'll probably be on some bluey colours around the heart. Let's do a row here. Imagine that you've got up to here. So what you're going to do is you're going to weave as normal, as tightly as you can towards the heart, and then when you get to the heart, just feed it across the back. Okay, so feed it across the back and then come up the other side of the heart and carry on weaving the other side of it. So if I show you the back of the one that I did, you'll see here how each time I was weaving across, I got to the heart and then just carried it across and wove the other side. So that's how it looks on the back, all right, completely different to the front. So that's how you would do that, all right, and you would just keep going, and then I did, I think I did a few green knots in the middle of the heart at the top. So I had a green bit in the middle, just to sort of emphasise the fact that the heart dips down in the middle like that. So there was that green bit in the middle, and then I did the yellow for the fiery bits, and so on and so forth. Now, back to Tinks's question. Let me just go back with this before I answer it, just to try and use a bit more of this one up and show you how cool this looks, because you get this kind of real textural interest with this. And you can really move things around as well, so don't feel like if you've put a knot in the wrong place, just take it out and do it again. Nothing's stuck forever, and you can really experiment with it. So there's that, another row of that, and you can see how quickly it's growing. I mean, compared to doing a normal weaving with actual yarn, this is so much faster and therefore more rewarding, in my opinion. 'Cause, you know, I like things to happen quickly. And Wooltops is just brilliant for that, absolutely brilliant. You can see how that bit at the bottom it's already hidden the warp threads, okay? So just keep building that up, and yes, you will be left with lots of ends. Now, what I do with ends is I use a crochet hook on the back when it's finished, and I just weave them all in. So I did start doing it this morning with this. I didn't get very far actually. I started doing a few. So say for example, let's take this one for example. I don't know if you can see, but I'm just going to take the crochet hook. I'll go through a stitch on the back, and I'll just hook in the end, bring it through, and then as soon as it's secure like that on the back, just snip the end off. And just do that with the whole thing. So by the end, you'll have all of those round the back and you won't be able to see them hanging off the sides. So the last thing I need to explain to you is how to take it off the loom and what to do. Now, the one that I did from my book here, you can see I've taken the warp threads off the little hooks at the top, and then I've just tied little knots and left a loop on each one. So I've just threaded those. Oh no, I must have tied the knots afterwards, actually, thinking about it, because I've threaded them onto this. But I'm going to talk to you first of all about how to take it off the loom. What you would do, I start off by just undoing these two screws at the bottom and loosening this bit at the bottom, which you can, incidentally, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, you can move this back and forth. So if your warp isn't tight enough, if you just turn this round, it will tighten the warp. And likewise, when you're done, If you turn it the other way, it will loosen your warp, okay? So you'll be able to get this off now, okay? So what I would do here at the bottom is I take it off, I hold it very carefully, do them one at a time, obviously.
Hold on a minute, let me just zoom in a bit on what you're doing down there.
Would it be more helpful if I held it up like that?
No.
So I've taken one off, okay? I'm just going to snip it, and then I'm going to tie a knot in it, okay? And then I know that, that's safe and secure at the bottom, all right? So that's what I did at the bottom of my weaving. It's quite difficult, there we go. Okay, so that's that one done. So that's what I did with this here. So if you look at the bottom, that's all tied off at the bottom here, okay? And then at the top, I've got longer ones left at the top because I didn't go all the way up. So it's up to you what you could do at the top is you could just, if you wanted to, you could just snip them like this, okay, and then you could get your thing that you're going to put them around, say it was the crochet hook like that, and you could tie a loop or whatever you wanted to at the top, make sure it's all tied off securely like that, and you could hang it on something at the top. Obviously this isn't finished and it's all a bit wibbly wobbly, but you can kind of see where I'm coming from with that. And here's one I prepared earlier that is finished. So that's it, just hanging on a little down thing with a heart at the top. The bottom's all tied and secured off as well. And then the last thing to do, and see, they seem to need quite regular trimming actually because they get a bit fluffy, is just give a little haircut to your tassely bits, and then also haircut your fire heart. So you would just, I just sat down and just looked at it once it was all finished and then trimmed it off like this. Okay. So does that show everybody enough of how to weave with Wooltops? Just going back to the lamp and the warp of the lamp. You can see the warp threads on the inside of the lamp here. But again, I used one of our house blend wool tops that's got Angelina fibre in it, so it's like got sparkly bits. But you can see I've just gone in and out and under and over. Again, make sure you've got an odd number of warp threads. So anything that you're going around in a circle with, you want to make sure it's an odd number. Otherwise, when you get back to the beginning, you'll be repeating what you've already done, and that's not how weaving works. You want it to go the other way when you get back to the beginning. If it's circular, when you're going backwards and forwards, not as important. I think that's it. Any other questions? Have you missed any? Sometimes I go back over Facebook and I look and there have been loads, so I apologise if I've missed any, but I'll go back and look at them and answer them after we've finished, if that makes sense. Next week, next Friday, I'm going to do cobweb felt scarves because I know a lot of you have been waiting for that, and I've been doing a vote every time and it's always just been pipped at the post. So I'm definitely going to do cobweb felt scarves next Friday. If you want to know what you'll need for that, you will just need our big bamboo mat that measures 1.8 metres long by 600 millimetres wide. That's big enough to make a scarf in. You will ideally need 2 pieces of our netting, which are 1 metre. So you'd have 2 metres of netting, okay? And then you'll just need some of the old fluffy stuff, some Wooltops. How much? Probably not that much actually, because cobweb scarves are very thin. So you could use a 100-gram bag for it, but I'm guessing you'll want it to be more than one colour. So if you wanted it to be more than one colour, then you need to get yourself a little selection. And if you look under Wooltops on our website, you can see we sell inspiration packs and bundle packs and all sorts. So get yourself a selection of beautiful Wooltops that you want your scarf to be in. 2 metres of netting and a large bamboo mat. That's all you're going to need, she says, just thinking that through carefully. Yeah, the only other things that we're going to use are soap and soapy water made with washing up liquid, okay? So that will be next Friday at 11 o'clock. And why are you looking at me weirdly?
Oh, I might be busy.
Oh, okay. Well, like if the whole world has started back by then and you are suddenly busy, I'll just have to get another cameraman. I mean, you're not indispensable, frankly. Yeah, so anyway, thanks for tuning in, and see you next week.